The floorboards of the S.K. Pierce Mansion in Gardner, Massachusetts don't just creak under the weight of footsteps, they groan with the density of secrets held since 1875. In the heart of New England, where the woods are thick with both pine and colonial trauma, there exists a thinness between the world of the living and the echoes of the dead. This is not a tale of jump scares, but a deep dive into the historical rot that fuels the most terrifying hauntings in the United States. The Gilded Cage of Gardner. Sylvester Pierce was the king of chairs. During the height of the Industrial Revolution, Gardner was known as Chair City, and Pierce's factory was the jewel in its crown. He was a man of cold ambition and Victorian precision. When he built his 20-room Victorian mansion, he intended it to be a monument to his success. He used the finest hand-carved marble, hand-painted wallpaper, and the most expensive woods. But the foundation of the house was laid in grief. Just weeks before the grand opening, Sylvester's first wife, Susan, succumbed to a mysterious bacterial infection. She never saw the master bedroom finished. Pierce, driven by a mixture of mourning and obsessive pride, moved in anyway. He remarried quickly, bringing a younger woman named Ellen into a house that already felt occupied by a lingering shadow. The mansion became a hub for the social elite. Presidents like Calvin Coolidge and legends like P.T. Barnum walked its halls. But beneath the champagne toasts and the glow of the gaslight chandeliers, the servants whispered. They spoke of a heavy air in the basement, of sightings of a pale woman in the widow's walk, and of a child's laughter that didn't belong to any of the Pierce heirs. The decay of a dynasty. As the decades rolled into the early 20th century, the Pierce fortune began to evaporate. The Great Depression hit Gardner like a physical blow. The mansion, once a symbol of opulence, became a boarding house. This is where the history of the S.K. Pierce Mansion takes a truly dark, documented turn. The house began to attract the desperate and the damned. In the 1940s, a guest named Eino Saari burned to death in his bedroom. The strange part? The fire didn't spread. Investigators found Saari's charred remains, but the mattress beneath him and the curtains beside him were barely singed. It was a case of spontaneous human combustion that remains a staple of Massachusetts paranormal lore. Later, a young boy allegedly drowned in a basement cistern that had been improperly covered. The mansion was no longer a home. It was a hungry entity, collecting the souls of those who crossed its threshold. Fast forward to the early 2000s, the mansion was purchased by a family who intended to restore it. They weren't ghost hunters, they were history buffs. But you don't choose the S.K. Pierce Mansion, it chooses you. Within weeks, the family began experiencing the red-eyed man. This isn't your typical Victorian ghost. Witnesses describe a hulking, shadow-like figure with glowing crimson eyes that lurks in the basement and the servants' quarters. Unlike the passive spirits of Susan Pierce or the drowned boy, the red-eyed man is aggressive. He represents the entity of the house, the collective negative energy of 150 years of industry, death, and decay. The family reported doors being slammed by unseen hands, the smell of rotting meat manifesting in the parlor, and perhaps most chillingly, the sound of a printing press running in the attic at 3 a.m., the exact time Sylvester Pierce used to finalize his business accounts. The architecture of fear. What makes the S.K. Pierce Mansion unique in American hauntings is its Second Empire architecture. The mansard roofs and deep-set windows were designed to project power, but in the context of a haunting, they create a labyrinth of dead space. The walls are double thick for insulation, creating pockets where sound travels in impossible ways. Paranormal investigators using modern technology, EVP, electronic voice phenomena meters, and thermal imaging have captured what they call the chorus. It isn't just one voice, it's a layering of eras. You might hear a 19th century maid crying, followed immediately by the cough of a 1930s boarder. The house sits atop a geological fault line in the North Worcester County area, which some researchers believe acts as a natural battery, charging the hauntings. The combination of quartz-heavy soil and the iron-rich Victorian piping create a literal circuit for spiritual activity. The shadow in the mirror. One of the most terrifying documented events occurred during a private tour in 2015. A skeptic from Boston was standing in front of the ornate pier mirror in the grand hallway. He joked about the ghosts being a marketing ploy for the local tourism board. As he spoke, his reflection didn't move. The man turned his head to the left, but his reflection remained staring straight ahead, its jaw unhinging in a way that defied human anatomy. The man fled the house and refused to return even for his belongings. This phenomenon, known as reflective displacement, is rare but consistent in the mansion's history. The legacy of the Chair King. Today, the S.K. Pierce Mansion stands as a dark sentinel over Gardner. It is a reminder that the Gilded Age wasn't just gold, it was built on the backs of the exhausted and the dying. Sylvester Pierce wanted to be remembered forever. He got his wish, but not in the way he intended. He didn't just build a house, he built a vessel. Every tragedy that occurred within those walls, the fire, the drowning, the illness, is etched into very wood he carefully selected from his factories. The house doesn't just hold ghosts, it is a ghost. When the wind howls through the Chair City and the moon hits those mansard roofs, locals know to look away. Because in the S.K. Pierce Mansion, the past isn't behind us. It's in the next room, waiting for the lights to flicker. Would you like me to expand on the specific paranormal investigations conducted at the mansion, or perhaps explore a different historic American haunting like the Whaley House in San Diego?